for the bottom team. We're live. I'm going to unmute you just so you know everything you say will now be on air. Thank you so much for joining us. We're going to be just kind of having a watch party here where we're chilling and watching the Riptide and Wings game. We have Brent Coye with us. And Brent, why don't you give us a little bit of your background?
Well, I'm a kid from upstate New York. I grew up in the Albany area. I played college lacrosse. I was very fortunate. I played college lacrosse 2 places, Nazareth College, and I did 1 year at Cortland State. Played on a couple. I played on a national championship team at Nazareth, and I had a foray into box lacrosse for a little while there. I played senior A, senior B. I had a brief cup of coffee experience with the NLL, where I signed with a team and then got hurt, and got released. But I played a ton of box lacrosse, and I have my own lacrosse company, and I was a coach and things like that. Played some international. I played for Team Italy. My mom's Italian. I played for Team Italy twice.
Nice. And now you said you had a brief cup of coffee with the NLL. Now that was with the New York team, correct?
Yeah, 23, 22 years ago now. Yeah. That's when they were called the New York Saints.
It's been a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I probably gave up playing sooner than I should have, but I stopped playing in 2007 until a couple years ago, believe it or not. I came back out of retirement at 48 and played for that Albany team that was in the I don't even remember, dude, this is terrible. I don't even remember what the initials of that league were.
Yeah, that was the IBLA with the
yeah,
hyenas,
the IBLA, yeah. Sooner than I should have.
But yeah, no, I was just making sure. I heard Jacko there for a second, but I think we got her all fixed up now. But yeah, so this is a game. Basically, we're fighting for the bottom of the barrel. Essentially, it's been a rough go for the bottom teams in the East. When you look at what the how the NLL's kind of shaking out, you've got Buffalo, Rochester, and Toronto at the top with 8 wins apiece, and Buffalo actually just picked up the 9th win yesterday, so they're sitting up top, and it really kind of depends on how this weekend shakes out. But when you're looking at Halifax is 5-6, Philadelphia is 3-5, Albany's 2-7, and the Riptide are 2-8. This is a big game for that bottom spot, and this is the first year now that with the expansion team out west that the East and the West both will only have four teams, because the East kind of used to be able to sneak an extra. They'd have the 5th place team if they did better than the rest of the West, but now it's filled out.
And it's how things have changed, because Philly used to be a perennial power back when I used to follow this, this a lot more regularly,
Yeah, no, it's crazy to see how it's changed over the few years. But I mean, Buffalo's still up at the top, and you got Toronto still up there, and that's just kind of how it is right now. And Rochester's been phenomenal.
It's going to be hard to break those traditional locations. I was actually talking to somebody the other day that is a friend of mine from California, and I was trying to explain that as much as lacrosse has grown and as much as people have tried to spread it and all that, I'm like, it really still is dominated on the Eastern Seaboard. I mean, sure, you're getting players from other parts of the country, but it's still very geographically centrally dominant, and when you're talking about the lacrosse teams in the box lacrosse, there's still some cities that I don't think are ever going to just flat out suck. They got too great a tradition,
Yeah.
And Buffalo and Toronto and Rochester are 3 of those cities.
Yeah, you see it because they've got the youth talent coming up through, like Connor Fields, and there's so many guys. So it's funny because Connor Fields was the local Buffalo guy, and now he's playing pretty good for Rochester. But Buffalo didn't even skip a beat when they got rid of him. Essentially, their offense has been phenomenal. Last night, that's one thing, is there was not a credit to Halifax defense. They kept them pretty limited. I mean, but as limited as you can. I don't know if you watched any of the game last night, but Toka had
I didn't see that. But Buffalo is one of those unique cities. Toronto is a lot like that.
Oh, and Joe Resiteris already on the board. Wow, what a nice Yeah, I tell you, this year now he struggled at the beginning, but since they brought in Mitch Jones from they actually got him from Vancouver. It's been great.
Yeah. Well, 21 goals on a season is not terrible. You know what
Well,
I mean?
no, but like I said, he came on more now.
Yeah.
He yeah, he was a bit of a struggle, but I mean, beautiful pass over, and yeah, Resetaris gets him on the board starting early, and that's a big because Orleman's usually pretty good for New York.
Yeah. I don't know if I like the fishing lure lime green
Yeah,
jersey color, but
this Seafoam, I believe it's called Seafoam.
yeah. Because when we were called the Saints, it was a blue and gray, and you know, it had a Saint Bernard on it. It was kind of really cool, you know.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, it definitely is yeah, I'm not a huge fan of that Seafoam jersey, but I mean we'll see. And now we got Resetaris with the ball up there again, but that was fast. Orleman doesn't get a save, first shot, first goal. You got to wonder how that's going to play in. And I tell you, New York played great in their last game. They just weren't able to beat Toronto.
I have a unique perspective because I started out as a box goalie, right? And I was a field goalie, and it can play hell with your head, that you don't get that first save. What you would hope as the goalie is, you get a couple. You're not gonna have a shutout. I mean, usually that's a rarity. I've met a lot of goalies who are just absolute studs who never had a shutout in their entire career. So
You might see
you're
a
gonna
quarter. Yeah, you might
get,
get.
yeah. I mean, you're gonna get scored on. So usually you can brush that off, but you want to get the first one right out of the gate. So, like if he gets one or two, which
Oh
it looks
man,
like he
there
just got two or
Orleman's
three
looking good
right there.
now.
Yeah. Now you might get fired up, but if the first couple runs down the floor, they stick one in on you. That's probably gonna mess with the goalie's head a little bit.
Yeah, you would think so. I mean, and actually, I said that New York played Toronto in their last game. That was wrong. It was Rochester, and they played great. And then Rochester, that game went deep into overtime. That was a crazy game. So they had shut New York out at one point, 25 minutes in between goals.
Well, dude, honestly, I'll probably piss a lot of people off by saying this, but it's amazing to me that guys can even score now because they let the goalies pad up to a ridiculous uh, degree
Yeah.
compared to when I was playing. And I know this will probably piss some people off. I don't. I mean, you either have skill or you don't. If you're making saves because you got 16 sets of shoulder pads on, you know what I mean, and you're taking up just mass in the goal. I mean, you're not
Well,
you're not distinguishing yourself from anybody else I can stick in there all padded up.
yeah. I mean, you say that, but then, most of these games they're decided by one or two goals. So when
Well,
Toronto played New York, Toronto had 22 goals. They set the record this year.
I mean, this is something that I
Oh, beautiful save! Wow,
yeah, that's a nice. Wow,
Yeah.
that's a full split. These guys are snipers. And I mean, I when I hear people talking about box across and what it will do for field, part of that is because you got a goal that's 2 feet by 2 feet square smaller, than a field cage, and you got to pick corners, and I mean, so I do understand how these games are only separated by one or two, but these guys are with all this space they're taking up, you have expert shooters that are these guys, like I said, they're snipers. You know what I mean? If
Oh
you
yeah.
give them a little bit, they're gonna get it in there. And the great thing that I found when I played box was it's kind of like survival of attrition. You're either going to be able to do that and figure out how to do it, or you aren't, and you're going to be gone if you aren't.
Yeah. No, that's a huge point. And like it's been, I don't know, for me, I just got into box when Albany put the Firewolves in. So somebody gave me tickets to go to the first game, went to the party zone, and I was hooked. I watched Ryan Smith's inaugural game. He plays for Rochester. That kid is an absolute beast. He was standing next to me, and I was like, wow, he's huge. But every goal he had, he tings it right off the inside of the pipe. The skill he has, like his soft hands for as big as he is, that kid's going to be a monster in a couple years. I mean, he's already great and, a top part of that Rochester offense, but I could see him being one of those next level guys.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I know that they've kind of de-emphasized the brawling a little bit lately in the last few years in box, but there were always a handful of guys who, they were a loose ball specialist or they were a defensive specialist, and the safest place to stand when they were shooting was in front of the cage.
Yeah.
But for the most part, all these guys are if they're out there on an offensive unit, they can pick corners and they can, throw it off the hip on a screen and snake
Wide
that
open
ball.
out front. Oh, beautiful. Yeah, there was nothing Orleman was going to do on that. And I believe that it's McIntosh. Yeah, McIntosh on the goal there. Restateris, you see he's moving all over the place. Like you were saying, though, the offense on all of these teams is unbelievable. Really, what you're talking about is the like a lot of these defensive guys would be the offensive specialists in any, men's league. And we kind of see it at some of these tournaments where you get some of the big D players come out and get 20, 30 goals. But that's just a lapse on New York. Nobody was covering him. There was no slide. And
Well, and dude, this is another thing that people don't, I think, grasp about box that never played. So I scored a lot of goals on one particular team that I played for. And then I went to another team and they were absolutely loaded and they asked me to play defense. So I went from like a 35 goal season to like 2 because I played D. Just because a guy's playing defense in the NLL does not mean he doesn't have awesome offensive ability. It means his job and what they told him to do is play D.
yeah.
And so that doesn't shock me at all that if some of these guys go to a tournament or they play, senior A or something, that they might be offensive studs, but they'll be like, listen, we signed you to be defense. If you get a breakaway or something like that, you can score, great, but you're not here to score because we got 10 other guys that we're counting on. And so I would never assume that just because a guy plays D in the NLL that he doesn't have the capability of being an awesome offensive player.
Oh, yeah, no, that seems to be what kind of sets these teams apart. Is like you said, they're so heavy offensively. You can expect every team just, to get 8, 9, 10 goals, and those extra transition goals are kind of what sets apart some of these teams, and that's one big thing. Buffalo's Restateris inside, Orleman gets a save, but yeah, you see it with Buffalo. Their entire Buffalo's defense, you could take any one of those guys and they would be on an offensive line somewhere else in the league.
Yeah, and I mean, dude, it's great when you have depth like that because, listen, I coached and played lacrosse at all levels for a long time. And I will tell you unequivocally, and you can ask anybody else that is even moderately experienced in this, what you intend at the beginning of the season ain't going to be what happens throughout and at the end of the season for the most part. So you could have, the 3 best offensive guys you think you got, and one of them rolls an ankle and another one, gets busted for something or, gets hurt or whatever. And all of a sudden you're going to be glad you got that depth. You know what I mean? And to be honest with you too, you need that depth. I mean, there was a mentality at one time that you just had guys on the team so you could run practice, full floor practice. And you don't get good unless the second team is right up the ass and pushing that first team. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if you're on the first squad and you know that you're only as good as your last game because you got somebody right behind you pushing you who's just as good, your team's going to be awesome. So I wouldn't doubt at all that most of these teams could go right down their list and be like, okay, Ben's going to be hurt for a week. It doesn't matter because Tim will fill that void. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now, okay, some teams don't have that advantage, but if you do, hey, that's why those guys are number 1, 2, and 3 because they got the depth.
Oh, absolutely, and so you're starting to see offense on for Philly was struggling at the beginning. They almost had too many of those guys. You had Rambo, you had Restateris, and everybody was kind of fighting to see who was going to be who up there. You had Blaze Reardon, and now they've kind of gotten in sync. Mitch Jones came down, and he's been huge on that offense. McIntosh has kind of woke up. I mean, you see, like both of those goals, Restateris was a part of, and that drew the extra ISO, and you see that's kind of how it went.
Well, I mean, the other thing too that you have to understand is, from a coaching standpoint, that's tough too. I mean, you can't have everybody on your team be a stud, because I mean, you get the number one player in the world on your team at a certain position, and the second best player in the world. The second best player is going to sit.
Riley O'Connor on the board. The stream was kind of glitchy there for a second.
I was going to say, I didn't know if there was like a commercial or something.
Yeah, no, it was a commercial, but then it popped back up, and here you see out front Riley O'Connor in traffic beats him. Wow, it's crazy how fast it happens too. That without the slow motion replay, you don't see how hard it was to really, all the stuff he did. Everybody just assumes they're like, oh, he just kind of slaps at it. It's like, no, he caught that, took a step like he was going to shoot, and then threw it in.
Well, dude, that's one thing I remember when I went to a tryout with a kid that I knew from lacrosse. I mean, I didn't go with him. I was at a particular tryout, and this kid had gotten a tryout too, and he was younger than I was, and I knew him from back in this area, and we were talking as we were, getting suited up and everything, and I had been a veteran of several tryouts, and he was asking me. I said, "This is going to be faster than anything you have ever experienced, any of your field stuff and any of your stupid summer league stuff." I said, "Just be prepared that this is going to be faster than anything that you've experienced." And you'll see a goal get scored in 2 seconds, and the lay person doesn't realize, well, there was like 5 pick and rolls, and there was, this guy, took his defensive player and kind of dragged him into
Resiteris again.
He's lighting it up.
I know that was McIntosh. I'm sorry. I was McIntosh on the rip. So that's 2 goals for McIntosh. That was from far out. But I mean, they had 3 offensive rebounds in there. And like you said, to the layperson, they just look at that far out shot and they're like, why wasn't anybody on them? But I believe they had 3 resets on that, and that's hard for a defense to keep up with.
It's not to be cliche, but if you really want to understand box lacrosse, understand basketball. Okay, if you can understand basketball and how they drop and fill and play zones and pick and roll and stuff, you should be able to follow a box game. If you can't, it might just look like organized mayhem out there because it's so fast.
Yeah. Yeah, so that was Resiteris that scored. All right.
Okay.
So it was Resiteris that scored. McIntosh set a beautiful screen for him. That's his second goal of the game. And now, I mean, New York got on the board. And
I was going to say, is New York even on the board? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, Riley O'Connor caught that one and flipped it out front there. So they had that going for him. But then immediately 3 offensive, resets on the shot clock, minute and a half later, and then they get it on the board. It didn't take very long after, and you see that's really what sets these teams apart. Is you'll get a team that goes on, 4-goal run, and if you only answer with 1 goal, and then that team comes back with another 2-3 goal run, it's really 6-1 or 7-1.
Well, lacrosse happens in spurts, and
right there, Jeff Teat buries it. So there we go.
Just got to have more than your opponent. You know?
Yeah, and get them at the right time. But yeah, you see Teat just fires it from out there. Wow. Yeah, he's got 39 this season. He's been on fire for New York. He's got to have 7 goals, a sock trick a night if New York wants to, but he just steps in on Batiste, not able to get out his hands, kind of uses him as a screen.
Now, see, you can't tell because they're bouncing all over, but there was a player on his team that just cut to the front of the goal, and he took his defensive player with him into the guy that was guarding him and kind of bumped the 2 of them at the same time, right?
Yeah.
Now, like I said, somebody in the stands isn't going to see that his teammate, by cutting to the front of the goal, just set him up for that goal because he bumped 2 guys out of the way, basically.
Yeah, that's why I've been trying to do those breakdowns with the slow. And there they go again. Philadelphia right back on the next face-off win.
You're not letting them get any momentum, yeah.
No, yeah. And there's Mitch Jones. I was talking about him. Since he came from Vancouver, this kid is on fire.
There are little nuances and things that box people pick up in a game that I guess your typical fan may not see and understand. And I think that's why when you do stuff like you're doing now, it's good because I can recall, you'd see somebody at a field game. I'd be in the stands watching a game, and somebody would be like, "Man, that goalie sucks," and I'd be like, "Really?" Because like all three defensive guys in the middies just shit the bed right there, and he got scored on one. That's not the goalie's fault, but the people in the stands don't get that, right? They just
Yeah.
see the guy got scored. He sucks, right?
Yeah, especially when you see a far out shot, they're like, that's from way away. They have no mind that the goalie hasn't been able to touch his post for 2 or 3 seconds,
Or he
because
got
he had to step
screened,
out.
and
Yeah.
and so like when you're watching box in particular, there's so much going on off ball with these good teams, right? And like I said, I've been watching, the Philly guys have been doing it pretty good. And I don't think the layperson realized to be like, oh wow, he just pick and rolled that guy and then he dragged his guy away, or he just did this, he did that. And when you do the analysis like this, it's good because I think when people understand the game better, it makes them fans longer. You know what I mean? There might be people that watch it and go, dude, this, whatever, because they don't understand what's going on.
Yeah, that's kind of why you have to see it live too, so you can watch the play happen, then look up at the jumbotron and try to process everything that just happened.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, because and everything on TV slows down a little bit. Like even when it's going so fast, the camera keeps up with it. It's still not as fast as when you see it in front of you. Like this quick pick, and then two guys go in, and they don't really understand how fast that pick and roll has to happen and how tiny some of these passing windows are.
Well,
Like
I
right
can
there, the
remember
guy's all over his hands. He still catches it, gets a shot. Orleman though, and yeah, just off the top side. That you're seeing more and more recently, I think, is these goalies that are hitting these transition guys, like Del Bianco that plays for Calgary. He's got 16 assists this year. He's like in the top 50 in the league.
Well, dude, listen, it's never a bad thing, and it was something that I'm glad you just made that point. I can stick anybody in a goal and they can be a blocker, you know what I mean, and block shots, but can they transition the fast break? And that's a deadly weapon when you got a goalie that can bang that outlet pass and transition the fast break. It's not any different in the field, you know what I mean? I mean, listen, saving is what you're there to do. But if you just save and kick out 25 rebounds.
Right there, all alone out front. Wow, that goalie is playing amazing for them. But yeah, like you said, if you're just kicking the rebounds out front, if you don't ever control those rebounds or get them out to the side.
Right. Or every time you throw the pass, it doesn't, result in any kind of break. You're going to have a long day. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, it is what it is. Zach Higgins is playing pretty good so far for the Wings. He's been all over a few saves, and Orleman kind of picked it up, but they've been all pretty good shots, a lot of ball movement, and that's one thing with Box. You see him pull the goalie a lot, and sometimes when you see him pull the goalie, you're like, wow, I don't think really any of those goals were the goalie's fault, but you just need to kind of get the guys fired up and be like, hey, you let your goalie down.
Well, dude, listen, I was a goalie in both sports.
New York. There's a transition goal right there.
Sometimes you pull a goalie so you give him a mental break.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's just getting pounded and you need to get him out of there. And dude, I hate to say this because we all like to think as players that we're ultimately in control of everything at every second. There's occasions where, dude, it's not your day.
Yeah.
It's not happening. And once the coach realizes, be like, dude, listen, you're not on it today,
Yeah.
And I love you, and you're still going to start the next game, but I got to get you the hell out of there. You're not doing it.
Yeah, we got to get some things moving. But I tell you,
Yeah.
so like right there though, what do you expect the goalie to do? That was a 3-on-1.
Well, dude, listen, the goalie, the term they used to use for goalie was the goalie is the last defense.
Yeah.
Which is a nice way of saying when everybody else screws up, you're in there. Okay.
Yeah, you're what's left when it happens. That's all they got.
Yeah, and so the argument that a goalie is supposed to be just some obscene wall that nothing gets past is that's a lay people argument. You know what I mean? He's got a 3-on-1. There's only so much the guy could do.
Yeah, and I mean, so really, what we've seen from New York is he had the you had the first goal was their offense with Riley O'Connor and then Jeff T, a nice play, and now they've got Thornburg on the transition, but they're keeping it close. Now you're talking it's a 1-goal game, and when you were watching it, you're kind of looking at it going, wow, Philly really seems like they might be running away with this, and now New York's quietly got themselves back in. The website actually hasn't updated yet. I believe it's 4-3.
Well, like I said, you hope your spurt is longer and more goals than theirs, because it does happen in spurts. You know, they get a couple quick ones and then bang, the other team comes back, and you haven't widened that gap enough. You know, now you got a game.
Yeah. All right, we're going to take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back.
B-Dry Systems. Basements are wet? Contact B-Dry. Contact Russ down at Family Landscaping. Spring is near. Deming Lakeside Trailer Park. Eric Kiefer, LUTCF. Friend of the Yeti. Tri-City Lacrosse. MEM Photography. Mark Murphy. You need the shot? Contact Mark.
Great fittings for all your underground utility, plumbing, HVAC, cements, solvents,
Kevin,
irrigation, valve boxes.
My happy.
All your plumbing needs. Plumbing, irrigation, HVAC.
Fay Farms. Fay Farms, where the beef's at. Believe in 271. Nobody fights alone. You got a sweet tooth? Contact Nora's Candy. Black River Ale House. Go where the Romans go. Do what the Romans do. When in Rome, go to the Black River Ale House. Rome Sign and Display Company. Contact Terry down at Rome Sign. Nice Scoba, the men and women in blue. Thank you for what you do. George Kaler, sales and service. B-Dry Systems. Basements are wet? Contact B-Dry. Contact Russ down at Family Landscaping. Spring is near. Deming Lakeside Trailer Park. Eric Kiefer, LUTCF. Friend of the Yeti. Tri-City Lacrosse. MEM Photography. Mark Murphy. You need the shot? Contact Mark. Bag Square Brewing Company. A authentic German brewery with authentic German food. Stop down to Bag Square when you're in downtown Utica. Robert Dix Insurance Agency. Contact Bobby Dix for all your insurance needs. Clinton Tractor and Implement Company. CBI Cables. Plug in what the pros use. CBI Cables. Plug them in. Crafty Beach for all your personalized merchandise.
All right, welcome back, everybody. And in our absence, here comes a game. Here comes a goal. Transition goal from Philly, getting up the floor. They want to show that their transition is just as capable as New York's. And we were just talking about how New York was quietly getting back into this game, and instead of 4-3, we now have 5-3. Krupinski.
Let's see here.
Oh yeah, he just beats him, runs down the floor. Oh, so Riley O'Connor forward for it, and you see he's trying to keep his eye on the ball, and when he turns around, not somebody who plays a lot of defense, not on his hands. Nice finish.
Well, dude, that's another thing that I think I see a lot of, in what I watched is, there's a time when your head's supposed to be on a swivel, and then there's a time when you're supposed to just stay on your guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, where you got to just make sure you got him covered. But that's the thing is a lot of this in transition happens so fast, and you're making those split-second decisions, and a lot of goalies will tell you they want the little glitch on ESPN Plus there, a little blur going across the screen. It's back to normal now. But that split-second decision, do I get on the guy or do I stay down here for the screen and the slide? And while this guy beat us the last 2 times because the slide wasn't there, so you start cheating down, and now the guy's open up top, and here's a goal. But, yeah, Higgins with another save, and here comes New York up the floor.
So yeah, lucky they saved that one too, because they came right in on him.
Yeah. So we've been talking a little bit. You're going to be having a show coming up here pretty soon. When are we looking at for a start date, do you think?
Well, I'd like to pull it off in the next couple of weeks. I had I work for the federal government, so I got a couple of things that we're holding me up with all these things that are happening all over the country with
I could, yeah.
natural disasters and, you know, all these other things that are happening. So hopefully I can get it, you know, situated where you and I can get this off the ground in the next couple of weeks and start a regular, you know, sort of weekly thing.
One-handed shot out front, and Higgins slides across. That was a beautiful save. Yeah, hopefully we'll get going here pretty soon. I tell you, he's definitely been a shining star for New York, but that's a lot of New York's problem is you get a lot of production out of Teat, and they get some transition goals, and the rest of the offense has been pretty quiet for them.
Yeah.
Oh, so went off the went off the goalie. They get to keep possession. I tell you, these guys are nuts though. That stand in front of the shot, these guys are ripping the ball, and it is just freaking.
It's an experience, dude. I'll tell you. You know.
I mean, when I was young, I didn't mind it so much. Nowadays, I'm like, I'm good. I don't even. I get hurt just watching them. Just thinking about that, it's like, oh.
Well, dude, I had a ball break through my face mask and break my nose. So there are some guys that now I don't know if you can tell because I have a little bit of a goatee going, but there's a scar here on my chin.
Yeah.
Right. And when I played in college, I had a teammate who was very well known in the NLL and the international. His name is Cam Bomberry, and Cam had an absolute rocket, you know, for a shot.
Yeah.
100 miles an hour all day long. And in field lacrosse, I got hit in the chin with one of his shots, and it opened me, you know, right up.
Yeah.
Here. So, you know, it is an experience when you got guys that can bring the heat like that shooting on you. I'll tell you.
Somebody told me Bomberry actually stands for shoots 1,000 miles an hour.
You know, I'll tell you something too, which, you know, with a lot of these young guys and this whole Gen Z thing, he was doing that when the heads weren't offset and you didn't have these friggin' super glue pockets that these other guys got today, where you could basically do anything and not dislodge the ball. I would challenge any of these guys today that shoot really fast. Yeah, I'll take you back 25 years. Do that with a high wall, or do it with a you know, a shotgun or something. You know what I mean? Or what was the other one? There was an STX stick. I can't remember what it was called.
Yeah.
But they weren't offset heads.
Yeah. Everybody started with that one, and then they had a couple of the sticks they tried to offset, then decided that they were going to start offsetting the heads. Worked a little better. Yeah.
I mean, you know, these guys that were in the 90s that I played against that brought absolute smoke, and they weren't playing with offset heads. I mean, any one of them, you'd add 10 or 15 miles to their shot today if they were playing with those sticks today, you know?
Oh yeah. It's a crazy thing. So, I mean, they're zooming in on Restiteris as he's coming off, but I mean, I think underrated is Mitch Jones. He come on this team, and then I'll pull the stats up here, but Mitch Jones has been an absolute, you know, integral part of that team. And it's so funny how well it worked out. So since they traded Mitch Jones, and they ended up with Sean Evans up in Vancouver, and he has been playing amazing. He's completely revamped that team. And then so when we look at Mitch Jones this game, he's already got 3 assists. He's all over, you know, 4 points. He's got 5 shots on goal. He's all over it.
Yeah, I wish I could see their player stats a little larger, but oh, there we go.
There we go. I'll cover us right up for a minute, but yeah, as
no,
we're looking
that's
at
right.
it. So we got you know, Rambo pretty quiet. He's got 1 shot. He picked up a loose ball down there, but he's, you know, a big part of that offense. Blaze Reardon, and since they've kind of stopped relying on 1 or 2 guys, they've kind of got the way. This offense looks great out there. They're moving the ball around good. They've been able to score on New York's defense. Not super easy, but I mean, 5 goals in the quarters. They did pretty well. They're getting, you know, a goal every couple minutes.
Well, dude, it's funny. I paying a lot of attention to, you know, the off ball stuff, and because I like watching good lacrosse. I hate sloppy lacrosse. There's just no excuse for it. And I'm watching a lot of, you know, it's a tutorial on what you're supposed to do in some of these clips that we're seeing here. You know, there's a lot of pick and rolling and a lot of guys doing extra stuff off the ball that, like I said before, I'm sure is going unnoticed to a lot of just fans who didn't play, or don't quite understand it.
Well, that's like when you look at the we were looking at the stats for the Wings, and you saw that McIntosh only had I think he had a goal and an assist. But really, the off-ball picks, he's a monster out there. He's a big guy, gets in the way, moves the ball around. He's helping the offense in way more ways than, like you said, the layperson's probably seeing. And I think, though, the key for the Riptide is they need to start getting their offense moving. Their transition can't be the only guys, getting up the floor and making sure they're scoring.
Yeah.
He's had 3 shots on goal. He's got 1 out of the 3, so he's shooting okay. He's a beast. Higgins has come up all right. Riley O'Connor's got 1. And now we get underway. What are you thinking we can expect for the second quarter here?
Well, like we were talking earlier, the game's in spurts. I mean, if somebody's got a lead on you and they're getting 2-3 goal spurts and you're getting 1 and 2, you're not catching up. You gotta go on a run here. You know what I mean? So. Listen, it's just the beginning of the second quarter too. I mean, these guys are still feeling each other out from the first period rather. But I gotta imagine you're going to see one of these teams, and I'm kind of leaning towards Philly, that they're going to go on a run here of 4 or 5 goals.
Yeah, they could. See, that was great defense right there. He just stayed enough on his hands.
Well, now see, dude, that's a phenomenal save because that guy moved his whole body and got his arm up in the air. And you don't see that a lot with some of these guys. They don't. Just ripped them.
Yeah, and just talking about McIntosh, all the stuff he does off ball, and there he goes, buries
let's
that one.
Let's watch that in slow mo and see, or whatever their replay is. Let's see what happens here.
Here we go. Yeah. Nobody on him.
Yeah, that's just a good heavy overhand shot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, no, kind of. His player there, number 45, kind of bumped that kid off that was starting to slide over there and let him have that unencumbered shot,
Yeah. Yeah, 45 is, you're talking about for the Wings, right?
For the Wings, yeah. I don't have all their names sort of like, memorized yet.
They got a 46 who's Keel Matzes. I don't see a 45, so we're going to probably guess it was 46. But, yeah, like you said, that's the little things. Just giving that guy – because it's only a second that you're going to get the ball. Goalie saved that one. Didn't know he had it. Oh, look at that rebound picked up by the Wings. And half the team
now I don't know. Maybe the rules don't allow this anymore. But somebody should have been stomping his guts in. He shouldn't have gotten that rebound unmolested in front of the goal.
Well, that's,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what you see a lot is if – the rebounds in front, and if your defense allows those to get picked up, like you said, that guy, he picked up that rebound and nobody laid him out at all. They just allowed him to go through the crease and pick up the rebound. And that's
you're bent at the waist doing a one-handed scoop of a rebound in the goalie's crease. You should be looking at the lights and wondering where your mouthpiece is. I mean, that's unless they change the hitting rules or something, which is entirely possible because I don't pay attention. But that guy should be going like, "What? Who hit me?"
Yeah,
he should be on the ground. Yeah.
You can't change the rules that much. It's still legal to hit a guy, and if a guy's in your crease picking up the rebounds, that means you should have been on him.
And what was hilarious about that was he bent over and was doing it one-handed. Yeah. Like he wasn't even like down there scooping through with 2 hands and powering through. He was just kind of like olaying it, and he still didn't get touched.
Yeah.
know?
There's big Blaze Reardon getting on the board.
Yep. Let's see what this one is here.
Yeah. It's his 20th goal of the season. You're seeing this offense really starting to come together. Mitch Jones, little toss inside to him. Beautiful.
Yeah, that was really nice.
Yeah. And that's what I mean. Mitch Jones he reared in such a big body, and he just goes inside. That guy tries to reach around with a stick. He's way too big and strong to be able to just,
Well, now see, again, this I like to point out things that I'm not sure if the average person would pick up on. That was an outstanding assist. He led him with this guy right wrapping his stick up, and he threw the ball where he was going to be, right, and led him enough that he could get that step and catch it and throw it with a guy right in his grill. I mean, that was a nice assist just as much as it was a nice goal,
Yeah. Oh, and I believe they challenged it. New York challenged it, so we'll be getting a couple looks here. I was rewinding for a second to see if I can.
Under what premise would they be challenging? Let's see.
Steps in the crease before it trickles in, maybe.
Crosses the plane. Let's see here. Yeah.
Here we go. We'll see the Mitch Jones little flip here. Like you said, Mitch Jones, that was a perfect little flip. He never even, it didn't even look like he was going to pass it to him. He's just standing there.
I think that might have crossed the plane before he hit the crease.
Yeah. I don't know, because it almost looked like it was stuck under his foot there. We'll see if they're... Oh, here we go. Here's a better live look. No, it didn't. It did not. The overhead view, you can see it on the ball. It doesn't look like it.
Let's see. Are they going to show it one more time? That doesn't help, fellas.
No. The ref's coming out, so we'll see what he...
Yeah.
Oh, he can't. We can't hear him. We're just waiting to see the arm signal. Put your hands up.
Yeah.
No goal.
Oh, wow.
Here we go. No, yeah, see, it's rolling
Yeah,
sideways.
I guess if you want to be technical, right, it trickled in, yep. It didn't cross the plane before his foot touched the crease. So.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, see, that's what's interesting is, back in the day, rather than be dejected about that, the other team would get so ticked that they'd want to come right back and ram one right down their throat. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, I'm sure they want to. So T comes flying up with the ball, and yeah, those Seafoam jerseys are not a big fan.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to be intimidating when you know.
Oh, wow. Look at that dive, though.
Yeah.
My
he's saying yes.
goodness, that's Tyler Digby on that one. Holy smokes. Yeah. And just dove right across. I can't wait to see that one. That was a beautiful, his 7th goal of the season.
See, those are the goals everybody wants to see.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
See, look, he fakes like he's going to pass it, just blows by his guy and dives straight across the crease.
Oh, yeah. That's good all day long. Yep.
Look at that. He even dropped his inside shoulder, made sure he didn't make any contact with Higgins as he was going across. Wow. And like you said, that's what they wanted. They got the goal overturned. They went down, and he literally cramped it down his throat. So now instead of a 7, instead of 7-3, we're looking at 6-4, I believe.
Well, what's funny, too, is, and players notice this immediately, a lot of times in a game, there will be this momentum shift, and you just see it, right? It's just one play or one bad call, and you can just feel it shift to the other team.
Yeah, it just
and
deflates.
if you don't stop that, it's a done deal, Yeah, so they just took the goal away, and then that guy comes back and scores a highlight goal,
And now if New York can keep the center cleared out, I mean, right now they're doing a good job keeping everybody way outside. Yeah, and they never even let him in anywhere. So now you're starting to see a little difference. New York stepped up the physicality. They kept everybody out of goal-scoring range, and here we go. Let's see what they can do on offense. Oh, good give and go.
Right there. That was great,
Yeah. Oh, and look at the pressure. Riley O'Connor draws the 8-second violation there. Good play by him. Yeah, maybe New York's turned it around now. Like you said, that could have been the momentum shift. It certainly seems like it. He gets in by himself. Higgins is up to the task.
Well, the last camera shot they showed of a Wings player who I think was the guy that scored. He was kind of looking down at his shoes, as he was probably ticked. They took his goal away.
Yeah.
But, I mean, dude, look, every player is human, but you have to develop that skill to just be like, screw it and forget about it, because you still got to go out and, you can't bring it back.
Yeah. But there's so you get Orleman making a big save on Terrace. They start slowly deflating this Philadelphia Wings offense.
Mm-hmm.
That's one thing that, like, even in their good games that they played, like they played Buffalo really good, it's sometimes they get very quiet offensively.
Now, right there, that guy from New York, I can't see what his number is. That was outstanding. He held his player up long enough and then kind of sort of ass-ended the other guy cutting across. He just took two guys out of that play,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, it's those oh. Yeah, see, so now they're twice now they've been able to shut that same play down after the overturn. So guys will start getting frustrated. It's they're gonna come up with something different or keep trying the same thing.
Well, the other problem you got is these guys are coming down and taking a quick shot and losing it, and then immediately they're transitioning back into defense. It looks like New York is not giving them a chance to set up and, you know, take a breather here.
Yeah, beautiful save, Orleman. Wow. Yeah. Yeah, now Orleman's kind of stepped up. He's pretty hot right now. Oh, they're gonna want that one back. Yeah, wide open on the doorstep and not able to even get a shot on that. And now, like you said,
well, but that's good. That's good playing.
Yeah,
they're slowing down. They're waiting for their guys to come on. They're giving the defense a rest, or I mean, not giving the defense a rest. They're killing some clock. I mean, they're
giving their defense a chance to kind of settle down, get the
well,
offense,
you don't just rush
out.
a shot. You want to work the shot and get your guys out there. There were still guys coming in off the box, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, if you got the breakaway and you think you can score it, that's one thing, but
yeah. No, and then they picked up one offensive rebound, so they got a reset of the shot clock. Now we got a delayed penalty on the wings coming up. This is a very good offensive set for New York.
It kind of froze for a second there. What was the penalty?
Some kind of. Oh, he's making the call right now. He's pointing him off to it. But Higgins able to make the save. They get the guy on. They work down to the shot clock, but two separate shot clocks, and then they get the penalty. So, yeah, great job by New York on that one, waiting on instead of just getting the hurry up transition shot. And here we go. Can't hear the ref at all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they got him for the illegal cross check. But
that's a first. Already hit him.
yeah, they're usually pretty good. They'll show us a replay. I tell you that ESPN Plus, I like it. So they got Shul for the penalty, but we'll go back a couple seconds here and see if we can watch it. All right, yeah. So it's right down in there. Oh, it was after you gave him a little.
Oh, afterwards, okay.
Oh yeah. Did you see it?
No, I just see the.
It's gonna be
like
right.
The Yeti.
Oh, that's right. I shut the cam off on you accidentally. But yeah, it's gonna be right down in the corner here.
All right, let's see here.
Boom. He catches him up high. He kind of goes. The New York player's going to set the screen, and the Shul just gets up high with the cross check, catches him right up under the helmet, and then stays right in his way so he can't get out to the shooter. And Higgins is able to make the save. But great play on New York and that guy for drawing the penalty.
It's funny when I watch, stuff. I hate being that guy who's like, I walked to school 5 miles in the snow, but there was when I first started playing box lacrosse, you could have given guys axe handles and you wouldn't have had, much of a difference in the way they played. Yeah. There was a lot of that coming up high under the chin was kind of hey, common. Dude, that's the cost of doing business. That was kind of how it was considered.
Yeah. Oh yeah, so. Yeah, he's saying, New York's got a little lack of confidence on the offensive side, that they just need to settle down like they did, and it showed on that last one. They ended up with 3 shots and still kept the ball and drew the penalty.
Yeah, I mean, dude, that's important too. the more you keep it in your stick, the less chance that the other team is going to organize and get their momentum going. And I know that sounds like sort of simple,
Yeah.
but the minute they go down, they take a quick shot, they lose it, it's coming back the other way. Then you guys kind of hang on to it for a little bit and set up your offense. You're just discombobulating whatever they're trying to do on their end.
Yeah. And boom, quick shot, misses. Oh, it didn't. They gave him the reset, so Higgins on the save.
Okay.
And they pick up the ball and get another set. Now that's an.
That was a nice
Oh, look
little
at
one.
that dunk and a goal. Wow, beautiful. I was just going to say, it was
Yeah,
really
that was-
interesting that Sundown, Lance Sundown has been playing amazing. But the way they were running their power play instead of like the house setup, they had that guy going through the middle, keeping the defense in tight and just kind of taking a beating out front. And then it pays off because it draws the D over. And by the time he
That
turns
was an
back around,
outstanding goal.
yeah. Yeah, they completely lost track of him. I'm telling you, Pace was watching that guy out front who was there for the power play, and Sundown is looking great. He's a young guy. He's been a big part of this New York offense. When he's on, the team's playing great. He's one of those guys they need to get a few goals.
No, that was a great goal. I mean, the other thing too, like we keep talking about, non-lacrosse people. I mean, sometimes you just got to give it to the guy. Like, there's nothing you were going to do. No matter how you played, the guy just made a great goal, I mean, you guys were all in the right place. Not on that particular one, but it's like everybody was in the right place. Everybody did what they did, and the guy just took a great goal. And you just got to say, well, you earned that one.
Well, it is hard to beat that kind of ball movement because you're a guy short. You can't cover everybody. You don't waste a guy on covering the guy behind the net, and it happens so fast that, yeah.
Well, I can remember I'm old enough that I not only saw them playing, but I played
Philly
against them.
just got a delay of game penalty for that little swat.
Oh, really?
Yeah, for the swat of the ball there. I seen the ref all of a sudden pick his hand up. Yeah, so they blew it dead for the whistle, shot clock, and then he smacked it the other way.
Oh, yeah, I see that. Yep. But dude, like you'll see a guy come down and like a John Grant or somebody like that and rip one behind the back and sting it in the corner. He'd be like, "Dude, what are you gonna do? There's nothing you're gonna do. It's like Babe Ruth hitting a home run. It's gonna happen."
Yeah. But so I mean, now they've definitely let New York back in this game. New York's on the power play, inside by himself. Oh, that trickled across the. Wow. Yeah, that hit Higgins, then almost went in. That would have been very deflating. Would have been a tie game. I mean, Philadelphia has definitely let New York.
Yeah, but you'll see that, like I said, you could see that momentum shift all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Now, if Philly doesn't do something now to kind of roadblock this, they could start running away with it,
Yeah. No,
they're
definitely.
spending a lot more time on offense than Philly is.
Yeah. Reardon tries to little dunk in there. Orleman's up to the task, holds on to the pipe side. But, yeah, when you look at the run now, I mean, and one thing looking through the scoring summary, you can see Philly got 2, New York got 1. And they kind of went back and forth. New York never really let them take off. So credit to their transition, getting up there. Oh, almost had it again.
Yep. But, I mean, dude, this is the thing, right? Even if they're not scoring, they're spending a ton of time on offense, and they're wearing out the defense, who doesn't have a chance to get off the floor.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
The way they're moving off ball, you talked a little about that earlier, but the way they're moving around off the ball, that defense is absolutely. You got to be exhausted. Those guys are flying the whole time, and it's harder to cover somebody and react to it than it is to know what you're doing and where you're stepping.
Yeah, and that's why that off-ball movement is so important, because it's not just that they're running you. They're, like I said, if they know what they're doing, they're dragging their guy into you, they're bumping you, you're running sideways watching a guy, and then you get picked. I mean, they're wearing them down.
Yeah. Oh, loose ball through the crease, I think. New York, yeah. Now New York's starting to, that could be very deflating for them. They just, Philly killed that power play. They only got one good shot. Teat tried something fast, and that didn't work out. Afterwards, rebound out front. Oh, in the crease, no goal. Man,
Wow.
Rambo, that was a nice play, though. But now we might start to see the
Is
momentum.
that kid's actual name?
Yeah, Matt Rambo.
Wow.
Yeah, he's a really good player. A lot of goals. He plays PLL too. Oh, under his legs. But yeah, so they've also got Blaze Reardon, who's a field goalie in the PLL, but plays.
I was gonna say his name sounds very familiar to me.
Yeah,
Is he the kid that played at Albany?
Reardon. Might
Yeah.
have
I think he's the kid that was a goaltender at Albany.
He's a Philly guy though. I think he's been around there for a while too. I don't know. Didn't you play down in Philly for a while?
Me?
Yeah. Or you
No.
were all upstate New York.
Well, for box lacrosse, it was all Canada and New York. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Well, no, I mean, I tried out for multiple teams. I tried out for the Washington Power and the Jersey Storm and Land Sharks and stuff. But my box experience was with the Saints, and then it was all Senior A, Senior B stuff in Canada.
Gotcha. But yeah, I mean, looking at the scoring summary though, you see I don't know. New York quietly stayed in this game, it felt like, really, because early watching it, you were like, man, Philadelphia could be running away with this. And then the next thing you know, they're not. And now it's a 1-goal game. They had the power play, but now we're starting to see maybe that momentum going back to New York a little bit. It'll be interesting to see how they handle this TV break, if they can get it together, or who's going to come out with a little more power.
I mean, I haven't been, officially keeping tabs of it, but New York spent a hell of a lot more time on offense in that period than Philly did. So they probably ground down the defense a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, Paul's in the chat, so he's not here live yet, but he did say that he played at Albany, LOL, and he's old. So that's probably why he's saying you would know him, because he's old, I'm guessing.
His name just sounds very familiar, and I thought he was the kid that was a goalie at Albany several years ago.
Yeah. He is a goalie. He's a field goalie. But, I mean, you see Philly's got some points, but New York's coming back. It'll be interesting to see how they, a couple minutes left to go before the halftime.
Mm-hmm.
And then, yeah, I don't know. They really came back fast. It seemed like Philly could have ran away with it, and they just let New York come back in the game, and now Rambo's running up the floor with the ball.
Well, the hard thing too for me as a fan watching this is in Philadelphia, right?
Yeah. Oh, and there's Rambo right there on the goal.
Oh, that's nice. Yep.
Wow, that was nice.
Yep.
Yeah, that's gonna look good. You see him, and he reaches across, and then comes back against his momentum and weight. That is impressive.
Look like Dr. J walking through the air.
Yeah. Boom.
Yep. Nice goal.
Yeah, you can see Orleman thought he was going to hold it, go far side the whole time, and then he just held it, and then buries it near side as he's floating across. Beautiful goal by Rambo. And like I was saying before, you can kind of see the momentum starting to go that way. New York had a lot of time in the offense, and then all of a sudden towards the end of that, they had a couple crappy offensive possessions, and now Philly's got a decent one, and they're up by 2.
Well, now we're getting to crunch time. It's almost third period, right?
We got 4.5 minutes, left to go in the first half.
I mean,
and here comes New York. Yeah, see, Philly's done a much better job making sure they're back, stopping that transition. You see it on there. There's already 3 guys back as soon as he's up. Picks his head up with the ball. Oh, almost gets it by Higgins. Good job by the D there, sticking in.
Yeah, and I don't know, because maybe the New York guy's having an off game, but to be honest with you, the Philly goalie seems like a much more explosive goalie. He's exploding on the ball. The other guy just seems like he's trying to slide his body over a little bit. The Philly goalie is
Yeah,
moving.
I get
a
what you're
lot.
saying. He's like more reactive to it, whereas
Yeah,
Orleman's kind of that big bulking. I'm gonna fill up the goal.
yeah, because he made a bunch of stick saves, this Philly goalie.
Yeah,
Flying over there and getting his stick in the way as opposed to just trying to block it with his body. He seems like a much more
and there you're talking about it, and he keeps his stick right on that one and stops Riley
Yeah.
O'Connor wide open out front, slamming the 5-goal
Yeah.
shot.
I mean, explosive is the only word I could think of. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I like to think of it. You've got your active goalies and your passive goalies. The passive goalies play all the angles. They step out far, but they're really weak against that backdoor pass, and they don't, adjust quickly. But they are good as far as far out angles. These guys will fill up the whole net.
Well, there was a goalie that played years ago named Dallas Elliott,
Yeah,
and he was like that. Like, he'd be maybe drawn out of position because he was hugging his pipe, and then he would explode to the other side and get his arm, his stick, his chest, whatever was there because he moved to the ball. You know, and this Philly goalie is doing that a lot. He's exploding to the shot. You know what I mean?
yeah. And here you see, so New York's got 2 offensive rebounds, and shame on the Philly team for letting that guy pick the rebound up. He came down on the fast break, ended up, basically on his own up there, and then they let him pick up his own rebound. But now New York, nobody got on the floor, and Philly wasted the opportunity. Wow, a 4-on-2 and a shot that misses the net. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, Higgins
And
big
that guy
there on
just
T.
stuffed him. Yeah.
Yeah, and T knows that he went through the crease, so he couldn't be the next guy to touch the ball for New York. Has to step over it and run away. Wow. Yeah, this is really turned it into a run and gun game. I just can't believe 4-on-2 and they missed the net. That's got to be a frustrating.
Yeah, that really shouldn't happen in an ideal world, But
yeah, it happens. Oh, all right. So Reardon's claim to fame that Paul's saying you probably know him from was his he ran all the way up the field as a goalie scoring on ESPN.
yeah, that's why I remembered him because they would talk about him being a box player. That's why I remember his name.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he is actually at the beginning of the year he was one of the few Philly players that was having a decent season. He was scoring some goals and getting up there a little bit. They were struggling for a while. But they got Mitch Jones, and really just having that young guy up there seemed to help him a lot. But here comes New York on transition again. And
now you see, dude, that's the other thing too, that it's not just for fans. The younger guys that play this game,
ooh, beautiful. And then he gets laid out.
But you see what I mean now about the 2 goalies?
Yeah.
He just kind of stood there and did a little shoulder shrug, and that was a great shot and everything. But it looks like the Philly goalie would just be flying over there, trying to get his whole body over to the side of the cage that he wasn't protecting. Ooh, let's see a little.
Yeah, they've been.
Here.
He's trying to give him the business. Yeah, I'm sure we'll get a replay of that coming up here in a second, but we'll.
Well, and I don't know if he was, if he was upset about something in particular, but
right
dude,
here.
that's how you get a rally.
This is what happens. He shoots, and then he gets laid out, and then he takes offense to it, so he comes over, and then he takes offense to it, and it, they got a little excited. You got to stick up for your guy, especially the goal scorer.
Get a rally going.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I get the other team sticking up for their guy, but you know what? That's the price you paid for the goal, dude. I mean, give me a break.
Yeah. But that's, if they had if they had not reacted like that, they might have been able to get, who knows, the rest might have called it, could have had a penalty. But yeah, Mitch Jones, 6th goal of the season, 2nd goal of the game. Like I said, he's been such a huge factor, not so much because he scores a bunch of goals, but what he's brought to that offense, that fire, being the assist man, he is all over it. And now.
Well, now, dude, here's another thing. It's an old school mentality, and I don't know if you have kids watching this or whatever, but the trick is you hit first, you never hit back, okay? Because by the time the referee turns around, he's catching the other guy hitting you back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like on that
retaliate.
play there, you got time. Next period, next game, whatever.
Yeah, you see that guy coming through, especially you're a defensive guy, he just laid out one of your guys, you get him up on transition, or you just send somebody big out, like you said, the next shift.
Well, listen, that was kind of a judgment call. I mean, he popped him a little bit late, but he also popped the guy that, I don't know if that should have had like 5 guys involved, but
No. But you also, as a defenseman, you've got to let him know that you can't just come through the middle of the
oh
crease.
yeah, yeah.
But that's what New York
I mean,
allowed him to do. They allowed him to be there because there wasn't anybody there to knock him out.
That was something. Jake Lazor had posted something where he came out of the goal and basically got into it with a guy that
Jake Lazor,
two shot at him. And I remember, posting on there. I said, "Okay, I know I'm older, and I keep harkening back to the way it was, but I'm like, how come your entire team wasn't just stomping that guy's head in that ran the goalie?" And he was like, "Yeah, my point." And I was like, there are certain unwritten rules in this. So yeah, that guy gave your player a shot. Fine, come over and give him one. But then it started a snowball there,
Yeah. So Paul texted me to send him another link. So I just emailed Paul another link. Hopefully he'll get in here pretty soon. I might have to text it to him. Sometimes Paul and technology don't always go so well together. We have some glitches from time to time.
I have to be very honest with you. In just watching this game right now, I believe the difference is the Philly goalie is just doing better.
Well, that's basically what I've noticed watching this. So now New York goes on to the power play. But, what I've noticed watching box lacrosse in the NLL is whoever has the goalie. And right there, they've got Higgins on. That's why I was keeping it on there. So when you have the hot goalie, the it goalie, it is what it is. That's what you're going to,
I mean, they've been matching up halfway decent offensively. The New York guys scored a couple of highlight reel goals. The Philly guys did. They've been having a lot of transition, a lot of fast breaks. And the difference is looking like that, the Philly goalie is pulling saves out of his butt that are right in his face, and the other guy is kind of getting lit up,
Yeah. No, he has it.
I don't know the game totals, but you might have the game totals there, but there's no way the Philly goalie doesn't have a ton more saves than the New York kid.
Well, I just sent Paul another link for that, so hopefully, but here they're talking to Ben McIntosh, 2 goals, 2 assists today. Yeah, and they're talking about they're frustrated now that they're down after that because they ended up with the power play because, like you said, they retaliated. There's no
way the Philly goalie doesn't have a ton more saves than the New York.
Paul, you got to turn down the volume. You just jumped in. I'm guessing you were watching us on YouTube. I just heard Brent. I can hear Brent in the background talking about the Philly goalie having more saves.
Okay, I got to clear this guy. Yeah. Sorry, guys.
You're good.
About now that they're down after that because they end up with the power play. Because,
I think I'm
like you said, they retaliated.
Instagram. This is killing. Does that make me better?
I can still hear somebody in the background. Somebody's watching the video with the sound on.
That's you. I don't have anything else on, I don't think.
Okay, I got to clear this guy. Yeah. Sorry, guys.
No, because I can hear you. Sorry, guys. Oh, he's gone. He'll be back in a second, I would imagine.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But yeah, so Orleman's got 22 saves.
I'm guessing the other kid's got like 10.
28. Higgins is the one that plays for Philly. So Higgins has got 28 saves.
Okay.
Yeah. So he's got 7
All
more.
right. I was going to say, I thought it was a bigger disparity than that. But yeah, I assume that guy, Now, I'll give you a little formula here that is not 100%, but it's about 98.5% true. Whichever team got the most loose balls, more face-offs, and more saves is probably going to win.
Yeah. So
I don't need to see goal totals. I don't need any of that. I'm like, who's got the most saves, most loose balls, and the most face-offs? I'll pick the winner 98% of the time.
All right. So let's look at it. We'll look at the loose balls. We've got 1 plus 4 is 5 plus 4 is 9 plus 4 is 13. 15, 16, 17, 21. Hey, what's going on? There's the Utica Yeti himself, 24, 25.
Hello, Yeti Nation. God, I don't like this technology stuff.
So, Riptide have 31 loose balls. Loose balls picked up, and now I'm going to count the wings. You guys talk amongst yourselves since I'm doing a little math here.
You look like you're running a sports advertising firm there, Paul. You got the Bills, Denver, the Herkimer, Jeez.
We're all for it today. We're all for it today. This
I
is a
thought I
great.
saw I think I see like another jersey up there and then hanging up 51.
51, yeah. It's Keo Spikes. Is that Spikes?
I don't know. I can't tell. I'd see another jersey besides the Bills jersey behind you.
They got 17. Josh Allen is a fan favorite. 51 to Keo Spikes. That's the Dogs jersey. And then 14 here behind us. Yeah, Diggsy. Yeah, it's all about the football, lacrosse. It's a sports oriented family. That's for sure.
Yeah.
41
How's everybody going, Brent? How you doing down there?
I'm doing okay. You know, I struggle with the technology like you do too. You know,
Oof. No,
I don't like
it's
it.
bad. It's
Yeah, I don't like
bad.
it.
So we've got 47 loose balls for Philly and 31 loose balls for New York.
Yeah. So he's got more saves and they got more loose balls. And who's winning right now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those goalies are on fire right now. They're
Yeah.
going back and forth. I love that action.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's like I said, it's not 100%, but it's pretty damn close to 100% that the team that's got the most saves, most faceoffs, and most loose balls is going to be the winner. You know, I don't need to see how many guys scored what. Be like, who won more faceoffs, who had more saves, and who had more loose balls. I'm gonna tell you who the winner is probably 98 times out of 100. You know.
Yeah. That's a big. It is a big
I mean,
thing.
Paul, you coach. What do you think?
When you got saves like these guys are saving, you know, look how many
I'll be
rebounds
right
that
back,
last set of rebounds that New York had, the Riptide. Would they have about 5-6 shots right in a row, and the goalie made 6? Started with that fast break off of goalie saves. You can't beat that.
Well, and we were talking about that before you came on. I was telling him how valuable it is to have a goalie that can rip that outlet and start the transition.
Yeah.
I was like, you know, I can grab anybody out of the parking lot who can just sit there and block the ball all day. But the guys who can actually control that ball and rip the outlet and start the break are valuable. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Well, in regards to watching the Bandits game last night, you know, both of those goalies were going crazy as well. That was awesome. You know, great lacrosse. It's great to see the PLA was rocking. The Bombers got beat, and I believe what's her name's the Spark won. Good games.
Well,
There's a
I
lot
think
of great guys.
this-
That's the one good thing about technology is